Okay, Ash, I think we are live, and we are live on YouTube and Facebook, and now we are live on Instagram.
Hey, Auntie.
Hey, Ash. Welcome, y'all.
Welcome. Welcome to the place where
We'll get it together, y'all.
we bridge generations through conversation.
Yay! And tonight, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I feel like we should either get rid of trigger warning or there should be a trigger warning on everything, because everything
That
these
part.
days is triggering, right? To somebody, somewhere. Everything to somebody somewhere. So if you are sensitive to talking about something that is highly prevalent and that is pretty much an epidemic in the whole earth, if you're sensitive to talking about it, I'm sorry that you're sensitive. I hope that you can get help if you need it. And I think that it's something we all need to be talking about or listening to. We need to hear the details, not explicit, deep, he did this to me kind of details, but just we need to be aware. We need to educate ourselves. We need to start this conversation and never stop. We shouldn't be stopping ever. I think when you stop talking about something, that's when people, if you're not aware of your history, you're bound to repeat it, right? So
exactly.
Are we here to harp on it? No.
No.
But we are here to, I'm going to be doing this, guys. So get ready. Plug your eardrums. Ring the alarm. If that alarm doesn't work,
that part.
If that one person won't listen, talk to another person. But we have to ring the alarm. So, Ashley, what are we talking about tonight? I know that was my intro and all this.
So we are talking about, because this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think sometimes people are confused about what falls up under that. Any form of sexual assault, right? Mm-hmm. Any form of SA, the M word, the R word.
I think we should just say it. I know the shadow banning is out there.
Yes.
But this is the month, right?
Molestation, rape,
incest,
mm-hmm.
sexual harassment,
all of it falls under sexual assault. Okay. Yes. And let's put a big fat star on children who experience
child sexual abuse.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So yes, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how to expose it and the effects of it, and how does everyday life look like when you are a survivor.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to add to that?
Yes. Well, April, she did say this is April, and April is sexual assault awareness and prevention month, and it's also child abuse awareness and prevention month.
Mm-hmm.
And both of us, your hosts here, we both have experience. I'm sorry, I keep wiping my face, y'all. My sinuses are tripping, and I just did my inhaler. But anyway, my nasal spray, not inhaler. But we're both survivors. We were victims. We became survivors. Now we're overcomers and thrivers.
Yes.
And thriving is a process. Overcoming
is
a process. It is not a one size fits all.
No.
This way,
and it is the juxtaposition of being healed and healing.
The ing of the thing, the continual process, because it's not a one-hit wonder. It is a gradual progression, and sometimes even we learn what we need in spurts. And
exactly.
Sometimes what you needed in your 30s is not what you need in your 40s, as you grow, as you develop, and so on and so on. So
exactly.
We want to talk because this is April, and we want to really focus on it. We want to talk about it, not in a descriptive,
dreary
way.
type of way.
Right,
And
right.
if you would like the full story, you can always get the surgery and flips,
When she
right?
flipped,
When
yep.
she flipped, you can always get those things, but we are
Mhm.
not going in depth inside of our story.
Right. And this episode is designed to help the survivor and the bystander. Okay. So the bystander is anyone who is observing, anyone in your family that is aware, that is
Yes,
seeing these signs and ignoring them. That's the bystander. And we know who the survivor is. So
exactly.
I pulled up some statistics from RAIN, RAINN. And as we talk, we'll give resources. RAIN is a good resource. SAPREA,
Yeah.
SAPREA is a good resource. A very good resource that actually is designed to help child sexual abuse survivors. RAIN is rape and incest, and I can't remember all the things that it is. But the things that are incredible to me is, according to RAIN and according to any place you look at, all of the studies show that about every 68 seconds in America, someone is victimized sexually.
Wow.
Every 68 seconds. Now, if that's not an epidemic, I don't know. I don't know how we define epidemic.
Exactly.
And every 9 minutes, a child is victimized sexually. Every 9 minutes. I really want you all to let that sink in.
Yeah.
We share this and we talk about this topic, we discuss this topic. It's amazing, insane, and ridiculous to me that we can be shadow banned by using these terms when it's so prevalent. When it's something we need to be talking about, not just in April, but every day.
Every day.
Exactly. No child should be abused.
Not at all.
And definitely no child should be sexually abused. And
not at all.
So, Ashley, let's talk prevention. What do you think? What are some ways we can prevent the spread of child sexual abuse, sexual assault? How can we stop this epidemic?
Well, I think number one, we have to have conversations.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that the conversations are just for like, oh, I need to talk to my child about good touch, bad touch. You need to be talking to your family. And what I mean by this, so I was listening to Tim Ross's podcast, and I know he can be very controversial. Nevertheless, young buddy be telling the truth.
Sometimes, yes, sometimes
he does. So this was a particular episode with Jackie Hill Perry. And they started off the whole entire podcast talking about how somebody had called Jackie Hill Perry's husband and was saying like, I don't want to be in the gospel industry anymore. I really want to get out. Blah is not what you think it is. It has this perverseness to it, blah, blah. And so what he said, he was like, Tim Ross was like, okay, let's get into it without like saying any name. And he said, but I'm going to say a name that starts way back. He said, when we look at the Bible, he was like, we don't want to hold these people accountable, but in the Bible, they like lay it out. This person begat this person and he was disobedient. And this person begat this person and he did so-and-so, so-and-so, and blah, blah. He said, let's talk about who started who spearheaded this whole little thing. He's like, I wouldn't say he started it, but he was the godfather of it. And he started talking about James Cleveland. And he talked about how James Cleveland was open homosexual and how he kind of laid the groundwork for this behind the scenes perverseness if we really want to start talking about these things, right? And so I think within that, and when we think about the Bible, when we talk about who begat who, are we talking about the generational curses of the family, right? And are we talking about what is really in the bloodline? So, perfect example. I'm not going to go fully into my story, but the people who are a part of the person who did whatever to me, it is a church family, and they never talk about what is in their bloodline or how it has affected people, or maybe even how it has affected them, because it is there, right? And incest is there and all of the things. I think there needs to be conversations around, this is what is in our bloodline. So and so did this to this person. This is blah blah. This is what, hold on. Also, this is why I don't allow you to go around this person. This is why this person is not invited to our home. Right? We need to talk about all of the things.
And so, just to add to that,
and that's just one thing, but go ahead.
If you can see, I added a banner that says "End Generational Silence." When I think about ending specifically, and I'm not coming from the perspective of sexual assault, I'm coming from the perspective of sexual abuse,
yes,
especially as it pertains to children.
Yes,
because that's my platform. As you and I talked yesterday, that is now my platform.
Hey, come on, clarity.
Protecting children, right? If we can start at the source of children.
Yes.
When we talk about protecting children, when I talk about protecting children, I am referring to not just the conversations we have with our children.
Yes.
Yes, and of it all. I'm referring to watching who I have my child around.
That's right.
I raised my child like that. I didn't just let her go any and everywhere. We talked about this, I think, last week. Just to get a break. When I talk about protecting children, I'm talking about listening to your children. I'm talking about observing your children and their habits and their responses. When a baby, a 2-year-old, goes around a particular person and you see them like cringing,
I ain't feeling it. That's right.
Why is that? Am I paying attention to that, or am I forcing this toddler to go and
speak to somebody?
Yes. Or go into the arms of the potential abuser because they're the grandmother or the auntie or the uncle or the grandfather or the father,
and they should only do it when they feel comfortable.
Watch your children, observe them. When I'm referring to protecting your children, I'm referring to believe your children.
Believe in them.
There is protection in belief. And the communication. Communication is not just you talking to your children, but it's you listening to your children.
Right.
That protects them. So when I talk about protection, it is educating your children. It is giving them permission to own their bodies.
Right.
Telling them this is your body. Even if you don't want to hug mommy, you can tell me, mommy, please, I don't want to hug right now.
That's right.
Not teaching your children to be disrespectful, but teaching your children to have agency over their own bodies.
That's right.
That's protection. So when we talk about protection, I typed in there, in generational silence. Ending the generational silence sometimes can't happen in a family structure outside of your immediate family.
Facts.
Sometimes it can't because people are not receptive to it. Your family likes darkness.
Yes.
Can I say that again? Sometimes. Wait, you know what? I'm about to single myself out for this because I felt that thing. I felt it all up in my shundai. Sometimes you cannot end generational silence in your extended family because your family likes darkness.
Exactly.
Sometimes your family is more comfortable in the dark than in the light because they fear if you turn on the light, it's going to expose them.
That's right.
Or it's going to expose their scars and they're not ready to deal with it.
Yes.
So ending the generational silence starts with you and your immediate family, starts with you and your children, starts with you and your husband in your household.
And be real about why you guys don't go around other family members.
And that's the starting of the ending of the silence.
Yes.
Taylor, my 31-year-old now, she knew, this is why you can't be in a room with this person by yourself. That's right. You can't. And she knew names. She knew positions in the family. This is Uncle such and such, and he does this. You don't know. If you see me and I'm Taylor, come here. You understand why. But also that you want your safety as well as I want your safety. So you're not even drawn to wanting to be around that person because you trust me.
That's right.
So the ending of the generational silence starts in your home.
It
The
does.
Bible talks about a person who doesn't take care, and I'm paraphrasing here. If you don't take care of your own home, but you go and try to help somebody else in another home, you're no more than an infidel. Start in your home,
That's right.
in that generational silence with your children and your
That's
spouse,
right.
your
That's
mate,
right. That's right.
yourself, in your own silence. Can we start there?
Can you see me?
You're stuck.
Okay, because now my side looks black on my side.
I
I
can
can
see.
see you.
Wow. Yeah, you're stuck. You might need to go out and come back in. So you all be patient. Ash is working on her
Okay.
setup. It's okay. Yeah, you may need to go out and come back in. So when we talk about prevention, I'll just keep talking until Ash returns. When we talk about prevention, prevention starts with us individually. It starts with us owning our own stories first. And then, even if it's not a part of your story, I hope you have never been touched without your will, without your desire, without permission. I
Right.
can
Can
see.
you hear
Yes, I
me?
can hear and see you. She's
All
back.
right.
So, Ash, I shared prevention starts with us individually.
It does.
Starts with us owning our own story. And
That's
if you are
right.
an individual who is not a survivor, well, I welcome you. I encourage you to educate yourself on what predators look like, on
Yes.
how to have the conversations, on how to start the discussions, on how to be an advocate for others, including your children, or you don't want children. Okay, fine. So, how do you become an advocate?
Advocate for somebody else.
Someone else. You know, the best way to become an advocate? Listen and believe them.
Yes.
Ash, I'll ask you as a survivor, and I'll start it with me. As a survivor, the most important thing that I needed was to be heard and believed. So, Ash, what was the most important things that you needed as a survivor?
To be heard. Because I have been silenced for so long. To be heard. Not never and I can't say not to I can't say to be seen.
No, I said believed, heard and believed.
Yeah. I think it was more to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like I had been a part of making other people's stories work, but not been able to really truly tell my own. And there was a narrative that because I was not telling my story, I allowed to be created about me, and I
Oh, yes.
participated in that narrative. She's angry. She's always mad. She's always off the cuff, but nobody knew why I was off the cuff. And
They didn't
nobody knew
know.
why I was angry. And
They didn't know
nobody
the
knew
root.
why I was always snappy. It's called irritable depression, friend. And holding secrets that will kill you if you don't let them out. And I did it for years and smiled and shouted and spoke in tongues.
And you are not alone. I almost started. You are not alone. I am here with
Yeah.
you.
I mean, that's
Seriously, I'm
really what
here
it
with.
was.
And so often, that is one of the most prevalent sins against survivors. The fact that we are forced into silence.
Yes.
And with the lies as we get older, first it's, because of the shame and all the other things, but it's the lie that we tell ourselves because of the shame that now we carry, that
Yes.
if I don't talk about it, it goes away.
It goes away and it
And the,
doesn't.
the truth is, here's the truth. The truth about our silence after we have been violated sexually. The truth is that it doesn't go away. It
No,
grows.
it
It
grows.
doesn't go, it grows. And as it's growing, you know what does go away? Parts of us.
Yes, it does.
Start to lose parts of
Yes.
us. You
And
don't
people,
get rid of what happened to you. You
no.
don't silence what happened. You start to silence your own identity.
Yes. In order. And so this is the thing. People don't understand when a person goes through sexual abuse. And a lot of times, what took her so long? What so and so, so and so?
Oh,
Because
wait.
people, especially when it comes to childhood sexual abuse, so much of it is do what you're told.
Yes.
Parents model the behavior that they want their children to model. So what that looked like for me was, for birthdays, we celebrate daddy's birthday. We tell him happy Father's Day. If you need something, you ask for it. You blah blah, you so and so. Like, you don't disrespect him. Excuse me. He has already disrespected my body even before I got to know what this body was. And so parents teach their children how to treat their perp.
And it's so much easier for the community, the bystanders, the government, the systems, because according to RAINN, out of all the individuals who have and will experience sexual abuse and or assault, and these are only the numbers that they're aware of. How many people never report?
Exactly.
So these are just the numbers they're aware of, but only 25 out of 1,000 cases, 1,000 perps, 1,000 abusers, only 25 ever see prison time.
Exactly.
25 out of 1,000. That's 25, just not 250, not 2,000. 25 out of 1,000 cases, only 25 abusers see prison time. It is systemic. It is systemic because we're talking about the least of them, right?
Yes.
We're talking about children. We're talking about predominantly women. Now, men and boys are also victims, not as high of a rate
because they don't report it.
But yes, and I think it's also not as high as women,
a rate,
right?
Yeah,
because it's, I hate to say it, well, I'm not going to say that, but it's less difficult to abuse a woman, a girl, than it is to abuse a boy. Not that boys don't get sexually abused, because they do, and so do men. But it's easier when this has happened for a lot of reasons in our community, in our families, with the bystanders, to silence the victim because of the bystander's own shame, because of their own guilt. What didn't I do? I should have done this, or because of their own fear.
Exactly.
Oftentimes, especially in the family structure, there is fear of the abuser, because
and usually,
you're not the first.
No, and so this is another thing. Not only is that, but usually perpetrators, the folk, they usually threaten you.
Yeah.
After they assault you. So what that could look like is, or for me it was, if you do this, I'm gonna do this to your mother. Right? You know, all of those types of things. And for me, people go ahead. Now, and to your point, there is never just one. There is never just, I think people need to be, that is so important, because people will minimize, oh, well, he only did it to one person. No, there is never just one. There is always a pattern.
And the only time that there's just one is the first one they do. But after that one, there will likely be two. And that will depend heavily on how the community rallies or refuses to rally around the survivor. See, because if you start holding these perpetrators, these predators accountable, guess what? There could be one and done, because you're holding them accountable.
Exactly.
But if they got away with the first one, there will be a second and a third, and so on and so on. And so the silence is induced from the family, from the social organizations, from society, and all the things, because of misogyny, for one thing. That's, we can deal with that later. But also, it can come in the form of fear. It can be because of fear. For me, it wasn't Well, he did threaten. My father threatened to harm my mother, but he never had to threaten that because he was harming me physically.
Exactly.
He played Russian roulette and pulled the trigger.
Well, see, it wasn't
He
like
choked
that.
me and slapped. But I'm saying there are different
But see,
ways.
the very first,
You talked about the threatening. So yes, that's one way. And also the physical harm that they can be causing to you. If you'll do this to me, I'm definitely not saying anything as a child, right? Like, I don't want that to happen again.
But I think it was both for me because even before the sexual abuse, I saw the physical abuse.
And that's
I saw both.
That's my point. And often that is the case. So whether they're threatening harm to external people, if you're being harmed, you go inward. You go to that place of survival, that fight, flight,
or fawn.
It's fight, flight, fawn, but there's another one. Fight or flight. Why can't I remember the third one?
Freeze.
Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Yeah.
Yeah.
You go into, thank you for that, because I forgot freeze. You go into one of those modes. So like the silence, we have to talk about the silence. We have to get to the root of why the community doesn't rally around the victim.
And why they question the victim.
They question the victim. They bring up the past of the victim. Why aren't we doing this to the perp? Like, we have to really get to the root of that. And sometimes that's why I wanted to talk about that. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's the shame, the guilt that they felt. Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about it because why wasn't I there as a mother? How did I let this happen to my child? So let's bury it because I don't want to face myself and my own responsibility in it. Mm-hmm. Or, I want to go down the list of why people might want to silence a victim. Or they could be silencing the victim because they don't want to deal with their own scars. No. They too are a victim and they're not ready to face it.
Yeah.
And that was the truth in my case. My mother was raped by my father, and then he raped me. And I never knew why she never connected with me emotionally. But she saw this violent act every time she looked at me, every time she heard my voice, every time my presence was in her presence, she was reminded of what he did to me. So me coming to her, telling her, she didn't want to face that because she didn't want to face what she had dealt with. She took it to her grave. So that's another reason why individuals want to silence you. Look, stop talking about it because I don't want to remember my own experience.
That, and people will do anything to protect their reputations.
That's what I want to do. I want to go down the list. So it's
people will do anything to protect their reputation. Mm-hmm. And if that means silence, don't bring shame to our family. We are this family. We are Holy Ghost sanctified filled family. You will not mess up our name.
Because of your position in the community.
Yes.
You can't bring a stain. Well, how about, can we adjust this thought process and thought pattern for a minute? How about the shame is brought on by the perp? How about the stigma should be applied to the perp? How about we have a society where we make it unacceptable to harm vulnerable or any person?
Exactly.
How about we stand up, sound the alarm, and say no more? You are not, we exile you from the community.
Exactly.
You harm someone physically and or sexually.
You don't get an invite to the Thanksgiving dinner.
You are no longer a viable part of this family. Instead of the stigma that's attached to the victim. I was the crazy one. I was the one exiled. I was the one defamed and talked about.
I'll never forget, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I went by my perpetrator's brother's home. And at the time, when I was going along with everything, for the most part, I was family. They don't live that far from where I moved. I mean, where my job is. So I happened to see them outside, and I'm like, hey, blah blah. And I don't even know whether to call him my aunt or what anymore, but My aunt said hi, but when I went to like, it seemed like like my uncle, which is my perp's brother, he seemed to be purposely ignoring me as if he didn't want to speak at all. And I'm like, the audacity. The audacity, friend.
When after my mother died in 2016, she wasn't even in the ground yet. And one of my uncles, one of my father's brothers, and my father was in prison at this time for other crimes, bank robbery, whatever. But one of my father's brothers called me to extend his condolences on the passing away of my mother. And, I was like, thank you, whatever. Again, we hadn't even had her funeral yet. This was like a couple of days after she passed. He said, oh, and I also wanted to let you know that I'm going to be helping my brother with his defense to get out of prison. What? Again, my mother is not in the ground yet. So I'm dealing with that. And wait, excuse me? Yeah, because I know what he did to you and everything. I know what he did to you and everything, but he's still my baby brother.
And so this is the thing. I'm not saying that ain't your brother. I ain't saying that. What I am saying is that this is not a yes and, right?
Not at all. Not at all.
So the fact that you will come over here with that type of energy is the problem. I know he did it, but give a who of a hot of a nice.
So that was 20. That was February. Wait. That was February of 2016. What's today's date?
April 2024.
That was February 2016. That was the last conversation I had with him. Because I told him basically, summing it up, don't call me again. I'm out. I can't believe you would even, why? And I never talked to him again, ever. I was done. Because I was an adult at this point. This was 2016.
Yeah, stop playing with me, little boy.
I don't have to expose myself to you who refuse to protect me.
So, and that's the thing. You refuse to protect me back then, and now you
and today.
Gone on, little boy. I mean, that's not nice. That's still your uncle.
It's whatever. It doesn't matter. And here's the thing. I'm not harboring horrible, like I don't wish anything bad on him. I don't. I just can choose the individuals in my life. I can choose to be around people and expose myself to people who don't want to harm me or even open the door for someone else to come in and harm me.
Yeah.
I can choose to have people who surround me and I feel safe with them. I can choose that today. See, at 9 years old, I couldn't choose that. At 16 into 17, I couldn't choose that, but I can choose it today. So today marks my liberation, right? When I'm an adult, I can liberate myself and say, wait a minute. The truth is, I should have been protected. The truth is that what they did was wrong. The truth is that I did nothing to garner that kind of response from an individual. The truth is, these are pedophiles. These were perpetrators, both my uncle and my father. That's the truth. The truth is, no child should be harmed.
Not at all.
Ever.
Not at all.
And especially sexually.
Not at all.
So what happens when because we're talking about these things that happen to us in our childhood and our teen years, what have you. I'll be 52 this month. Ash, please tell the audience how old you are.
I'll be 37 in August.
She'll be 37 in August. So what happens when we're told? What happens when an individual is watching this? Like, why are they talking about this? They said it happened when they were kids. Why won't you get over it?
I'm tired of hearing that story. I'm finna mute her.
Why don't you just get over it? Well, I want before a person, and I was sharing with Ashley yesterday. I have never heard a survivor
Tell anybody to get
say
over
that. I've never heard a survivor tell another
it.
survivor
Not
to get over
one.
it. It's always individuals who have never gone through it, or
They're
this is the only
suppressing it.
caveat, they're suppressing it. They don't want to face it. They don't want to deal with it. And the more you talk about it, the more it reminds them of what they don't want to deal with. I have never heard a survivor who is actively involved and engaged
No.
in their own healing journey. I've never heard them make that statement.
It's usually the people who have never been through it, or it's the people that don't want you to talk about, who feel a certain way about the part and don't want to hear it.
Yes. So before you make that statement to a survivor, please think about the fact this is a road you've never traveled. Please think about the fact that there's so much residual damage that comes as a result of losing your safety.
And can I add this?
Please.
You're not gonna go to a deliverance service and you just gonna magically be over.
Presto changeo. It's over.
That's not how this works.
I looked at my hands and they look new. I looked at my feet and they did too.
By the way, let me go ahead and fire these professional
You know where we're going. You know where we're going.
Because my status today was.
Wait a minute. Wait. I have to do the intro. I got to do the lead in. So how can we had protect children, didn't we? Did we have protect children? We talked prevention. How can we protect children, Ash? What is the role of the parent, the church, the community? What's the role?
Ma'am to ma'am. So first of all, because we need to talk about this. This needs to be a thing, especially when you bring your curriculum. What is Jesus's perspective about sexual abuse? Okay.
Well,
nevertheless,
no, wait. Before, what's the scripture that talks about what you've done to the least of them, to the little ones, you've done also unto me? Isn't that the paraphrase of the scripture?
Yep.
So if you harm any little ones, what you've done to the least of the people, the vulnerable community, you've done it unto Christ. He takes it personally. Okay, sorry, just had to chime in there.
Nevertheless, today, I really have to take my qualms to the Lord, because I really love starting things with the church. It makes me feel good on the inside.
You don't. Stop it. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm going to come in and advocate for Ash. You don't.
I do. And what I mean by that is, it's not that I hate the church. I think that the church is, it's amazing when it does amazing things, right? However, I love messing with the church when we start talking about like real like issues.
You're provocateur.
Yes, controversial things, because you want to know why? Because when you start talking about controversial things, all you hear is crickets. No, nobody wants to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Nevertheless, my status today was, the church is loud about homosexuality.
Oh, extremely.
But quiet about sexual assault.
Extremely.
I have not seen any flyers, any events for Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. I have not saw any conferences. I have not saw any forums, any panels, any mixers, any groups, any anything, any communities within the church for childhood sexual abuse and sexual assault. None of it.
And here's the thing about that. This is why this is part of my platform program. I think I told you this already, that I'm creating for the church surrounding this issue. Like our families, right? Like many people's families, it's difficult to talk about an issue when you know it's prevalent and you're covering it in the household. So because the pastor doesn't want to offend Deacon Elbow, knowing Deacon Elbow has had many victims, and he don't want Deacon Elbow's tithes and offerings to decrease,
And he don't want,
he don't want.
Deacon,
Wait.
and if Deacon Elbow is his best friend, Deacon Elbow know where the bodies are there.
Yeah.
Where the bodies are
He
there.
don't want to. He doesn't want to offend Deacon Elbow when he may have some of those same characteristics and attributes.
Or he don't want to. Or Deacon Elbow know where the bodies are there. He know where the infidelity
That's my
is
point.
at.
That's my point. He doesn't want the light. When you start to shine a light on something, the light reflects, right?
That's right.
If you're a light, if you walk and you bring your light, it's going to reflect on others, and others will pick up on that light. So you don't really want to shine a light, because the reflections might bounce off on your darkness.
Say it to the people in a bike.
So when we talk about the church institution, because we are the church, but the institution, and I would like to spin your statement about liking to bring up these things. I think you are encouraged and inspired to challenge the church to be better.
That's a nice way of putting it. But
and I would have to agree, which is why I'm creating the program to train the churches, to help them to deal with this, to face this issue, and take ownership. If we're really leading people closer to God, it's supposed to be we're supposed to be resembling Christ.
Well, that's also a part of the soul work. And I think the problem is that we think that soul work can happen in a week, in a month, in 2 months, in 3 months. And soul work, especially when it is sexual assault, because sexual assault is a holistic attack on the identity of a person. Okay. Spiritually, mentally, physically. It is a demonic and physical attack, right? On holistically on the well-being of a person. That does not take 2 months. That's not going to take 3. It don't even take 2 years.
It does not. It is an arduous process that has ebbs and flows, because sometimes you can be in your journey and feel like you have a grasp on who you were, you have restored yourself, you have overcome and reconnected and revised and replanted your dreams and aspirations and goals, and then something will hit you and knock the wind out of you, and you start to question your level of growth. So I think the responsibility of the church as an institution is to do the same things. It's the same responsibility as the individual person in their homes. It is the same. Creating productive conversations, giving the education surrounding what it is,
and background checks,
safe spaces, definitely background checks. I had this conversation with my closest friend about a month ago. I was on one, but the background checks, and also having a safe space for individuals to come and report.
Yes. And
hey, you have Deacon Elbow cornered me and tried to touch me. I should be able to go to leadership.
And the leader should take the stance of a mandated reporter. Do not
listen. I had this conversation with Sherry, like mandatory reporting, not just the pastor, but
and don't be talking about I'm gonna cancel you. You just stay around me.
No, everyone in that church that
should be a mandated reporter
who is in leadership should be a mandatory reporter. I literally had this conversation with Sherry over a month ago.
And I'm saying that because that is a part of my story. My pastor knew. There was nothing like, hey, we calling above, blah, I better not see you around. I mean, but what I'm gonna say is there wasn't much he could do, because when I say much he could do in that respect of don't be around her, because it was allowed from my main parent, right? However, I don't care what happened, I don't care what it looks like, you can still take a stand in some way.
And I have to add to that. And protecting children, wait 1 second. Protecting children requires a community.
It does.
We're not just talking about the parent, because that's why being a mandatory reporter is
Order.
important.
Exactly.
If you see something, you say something.
Say something.
You
Yes.
protect that child
If
at
that
all
child
costs.
says something to you, you say something.
If you walked in the hallway and saw Deacon Elbow touching a child,
That's
if
right.
you heard the rumors of Deacon Elbow touching the child,
Yes.
you say something, you report it,
And
you investigate it, you talk with that child, you listen,
Yes.
you don't intimidate that child, you don't make suggestions like Deacon Elbow didn't do such and such.
we talk
to you,
about
did he?
that.
Wait. I want
Yeah.
you to I want them to really hear this, because the framing of the talking with the child matters too.
Yes, it
If
does.
you are suggesting, if you are leading is what they call it in court, right? Don't lead the witness, don't lead the victim. Now I know, wait, I want to talk to you, Tasha. Deacon Elbow didn't make you
don't
feel
do that.
uncomfortable,
Did
he?
anybody make you feel uncomfortable today? Have you
Did
been
anybody?
Yes. Has anybody made you now? And when you feel uncomfortable, what does that feel like?
And what happened? And listen, and don't interrupt, and let the child speak.
That's right.
Let the child feel that their voice is heard, honored, respected.
And that part.
And you'll do something about it.
That's right. And you should be teaching your staff also how to deal with children.
100%.
Because there are ways in which
Ash, and adults.
No,
let's say there's an adult
too.
Victim.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You need to be
teaching them how to deal with this.
Because there are just certain ways. Honestly, me being a survivor and I'm an educator, I shunned the very appearance of anything. I had a kid who could not unbutton his pants. Miss Wicks, I cannot do none of the sort, friend. God bless you. See you
Godspeed.
I ain't got nothing for you, because it only takes one eye.
Yep.
To see something wrong, and it only takes for a child, because children are very expressive. It only takes them to go home and be like, "Mom, why I couldn't unbutton this on Miss Wicks?" No, Miss Wicks did nothing. You gonna pee on yourself today. God bless you. That's what's gonna happen. I'm just saying.
It's the responsibility of your mother to teach you that.
That's right. And I'm very big on respecting children's bodies, even my own child. Okay, mommy gotta wash you up, blah blah, so and so. You know, and boys, they like to. And sometimes in my head, I'll be like, that's not my body. God bless you, friend. Do your thing. Just saying.
Go with God.
Go with God. Okay. But yes, I think that's important. We definitely need to get that mandated reporter thing in the bag, because it has to happen. It has to.
And listen, church institutions, the days of masking, suppressing, and hiding are over.
It's over.
I'm sorry. I know you're used to the old way of silencing your issues and hoping them away. We're going to pray it away.
I rebuke the spirit of.
You can't even rebuke the spirit of lasciviousness and lust in your own body. How you going to rebuke it?
And my biggest thing is, when that thing is a stronghold, baby, you got to untangle that mat.
And it's a stronghold. It's a stronghold because of mindsets.
Yes.
You don't rebuke somebody's mindset. You know how I know you can't rebuke someone's mindset? You would be something beyond God, because God gives us choice. He gives us the ability to think as we want. He tells us what to think on. Think on these things, which are lovely and pure, and all these. He tells us to think on. He gives us suggestions. He tells us, but he doesn't force us to think on them.
No.
We have the choice and the option. So if God is not forcing you, how do you think your rebuke and your laying on of hands is going to uproot and just change somebody's mindsets? We do the work with God. God can give us strength. He can give us discernment. He can give us insight. He can give us ways to overcome certain strongholds and things. You know, we know the scripture that talks about there's some of these that go not except by fasting and prayer. There's a lot, but there's a process. You didn't become this way overnight. Sis.
That's not how that works.
It's not going to end overnight. It will be on a night. or a day, but it won't be in
it ain't
one
gonna
day.
be overnight. And this is the thing, and I think we planned to talk about this, but we didn't talk about it. Let's talk about the juxtaposition of loving God, trusting God, being filled with his spirit, but also living with PTSD, right?
Yes.
Living with maybe some anxiety, living
Yes.
with, maybe a little bit of depression. We don't know. Everybody has something different, right? And still trying to trust God in the midst of, and that might look like this. People don't understand. It could be perfume, right? It could be a color,
We're talking
a
about triggers.
smell, a triggers.
Okay.
All of these things that people are not going to tell you this because they are not open, right? Because especially within the Christian community, mental health is not always looked at in the best light, right? Because we think we can rebuke, we can rebuke the devil.
We can get some oil. We can get some oil and get the hands laid on us, and everything. 25 years of abuse are supposed to just evaporate.
That's not how that works, friend.
And so, in this conversation, this is not a judgment against the church.
No,
it is an observation of our experiences.
And it's also a
challenge.
Blinking light that go like this. Hey, y'all.
It's a challenge. It is challenging the church, the system, the organizations to be better, right?
Yes.
And it doesn't, I think all of this, I got to work on my church membership and getting the word out. You won't have to work so much and so hard when you're really, when you're really dealing with the soul.
Because people are going to invite other people because they're getting
automatically once they're getting their healing and
they're gonna be like, you got to come to my church.
They're getting the roadmap because no person has that ownership to heal me, but they can have the roadmap. They can be the navigator to navigate me to, this is how you can possibly deal with this. This is how you can address that. These are some of the things I've learned. These are some of the things I've done. But you have to be, first of all, in order to have a good church organization, institution, the leader has to be a very self-introspective person.
And they have to be able to relinquish control.
Yes, absolutely. Relinquish control. And also they have to be self-aware. When they're self-aware, they know the idiosyncrasies of what they need, of their own needs. Hey, I'm not that good in this area. When you talk about relinquishing control, I need someone who is good in that area. I need someone who's overcome that. I need someone to come in and lead and guide this. But when you are very self-aware, you can't be an egomaniac. And we have a lot of egomaniacs in the pulpit.
Yes. Oh, yes. And when I say relinquish control, that means that you are allowing Holy Spirit to partner with this person, right? You are showing them how to partner with the Holy Spirit, things that practical things that happen with the soul and healing and all of those things, and allowing God to do that work. You are not manipulating and doing all of this extra stuff. You're allowing it to happen.
One of the things I wanted to share, and I've shared this before, but it speaks to this conversation. In my 20s, after I gave my life to Christ, I was, some leaders, they do their best based on their own level of education and understanding and impartation with God himself, right? They do their best. So this is no condemnation to them. The leader, the prophet and pastor that I was under, he did his best and he was amazing. There were people coming from all around to come to our church to visit. Yet the concept, and he constantly directed us to read the word and study for ourselves. Yet the constant communication, the constant messaging was, if you're close enough to God, if you're doing all the things, if your works are in alignment, if you're praying and fasting and prophesying and in praise and worship, and you're witnessing, you're, creating disciples of Christ, if you're doing all the things, then you won't have the thorns. The thorns being depression, anxiety, the thorns in your side. You will, it, and you make that face, but wait, it was never conveyed or communicated that way. But this is still the messaging in many churches. If you're doing the stuff, you'll be free.
Right. And when I felt the depression, when I felt the downness, you now think something right. But what
am I not doing?
What am I doing? I'm doing
the first
something
thing
right.
I thought was, what am I not doing? What am I missing?
Yes.
So I did more. Okay, praise and worship. Okay, I got it, and it built more anxiety, and it ended with me still being in the hospital, attempting to end my life. It ended with me physically flatlining and them having to do mouth to mouth and the CPR, chest compressions, and using the defibrillator several times. It still ended.
And we think, and so, but because we think that warfare is only speaking in tongues,
it's physical,
hard breathing and hard
it's physical.
praying. But the truth of the matter is, you have to confront a thing, right? You have that's the beginning of that warfare. Whatever you don't confess and confront, you can't really go to war on.
Exactly.
That's not how that works.
That, my dear Ash, that after being released from the mental institution with the second suicide attempt, well, the fourth, not the second, but the second time I was in a mental institution after the fourth attempt, final attempt. But after being released and really in prayer, like I was broken. I was broken and still didn't want to live. And having those real conversations with God that started and stemmed from a pastor whose church I wasn't a member of. I was just visiting, but a pastor who visited me and asked me the question, why are you here? That was the beginning of my transformative journey. And me actually thinking about, like, he's like, no, I don't mean in the hospital. I don't mean why you're here. I don't mean any of that. I mean, physically, why did God create you? And me going on that journey, asking God, why did you create me? It opened the door for me to hear God in a different way. God did not remove the severe clinical chronic depression, what they would call major depressive disorder today. He didn't remove it. He taught me how to manage it and overcome it. He taught me how to press through it and beyond it. He taught me, and I had to listen. He told me what to do. He told me about standing in the mirror, talking to myself, finding scriptures to tell me to retrain my brain. That's where I say this often, and I want everyone to adopt it. We have to tell our minds what and how to think. What and how to think. You have to tell your mind. You have to be intentional about telling your mind what and how. You have to retrain that negative narrative, those intrusive thoughts. You have to do the work. God does generally. Now, God is capable and able of doing anything except lie.
For sure.
But generally speaking, I have never met anyone who is honest about their transformation and say God just took it. When it comes to something that existed and lasted for years.
Yes.
I haven't seen it, not mentally. So we have to do that work, but God will lead and guide you. He will again be the navigator to navigate you, because with sexual abuse and assault, it strips you of your identity.
Yes, it does.
It strips you of your safety. It strips you of how you view the world, your worldview. It strips you of your level of what you can accomplish and achieve. Yes. It strips you of how you love and your relationships and how safe you are
within yourself and with other people.
Every day. It
strips I'll never forget the dream that I had before the sexual abuse happened. I'll never forget, because I dreamed that, and I never dreamed again until I was 19.
I have to say this in the right way, because I don't want anybody thinking like, oh my gosh, is she still suicidal? Like, I don't want y'all worried about me. I still deal with allowing myself to dream. I'm still creating that safe space for me to do it. My dreams ended when I was 9.
I think so. For me, it was, and I won't go into the whole thing, but I remember this was 2 months after I got saved. I was 6 when I got saved, and In the dream, I saw myself in the mirror. But then there was another me.
Wait, I'm sorry. You mean physical, actual dreams when you go to sleep and dream?
Yes.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that.
No, I'm talking about when I went to sleep.
No, I still have.
No. When I went to sleep, no, I'm about to tell you. When I went to sleep,
Okay.
I saw myself as a kid, and I was looking in the mirror. But then when I looked to the side, like in the mirror, there was another me.
Okay.
But when I looked out of the mirror to look at the person who was supposed to be me in the mirror, that second person, it was a demon.
Wow.
And that I said I wasn't gonna tell the whole thing, but what was happening was the demon I was getting on this train to go and tell people that there was somebody who was acting as if it was me. But the demon kept getting to the places in the future before me. And I kept trying to convince people, it's not me. It's not me. It's not me. So when we talk about a stripping of identity, right?
Yeah.
That was like the warning that the stripping of my identity was about to happen.
So now that I'm aware of the dreams that you're talking about, I meant dreaming of a future, dreaming of being an attorney.
No.
That's what I meant.
But see, we talked about that because remember, I like all of these different types of shows, and I can like go there. You like, no, friend.
Exactly. But when we talk about dreams, I still dreamed. But I used to have this dream, and I'm sure Tanisha, my friend Tanisha, probably remembers me talking about it. I think Sherry might know about it. I had it for years, every year. I was in a space with my aunt, with one of my aunts. I have various aunts, but with one of my aunts, we were on the train. And somehow I was a child, and this was a dream. So somehow I'm getting on the train with my aunt, not on the train, but I'm getting on the train. She's holding my hand. She let my hand go, and I end up getting on the train by myself. I see her on the platform, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a child in this dream. I'm scared to death. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I end up getting off on the next stop. And she's there. I don't know how. This is a dream, keep in mind. While we're in this, she's there. We end up walking through this place because we're going to the museum or somewhere. We walk into this place that's supposed to be a museum or something. And it fills with doors. It's all white. It's all white building, all white rooms. We're in these rooms. We get separated again. And I'm going from one door to the next. And I can feel my heart palpitating like out of my chest. And I'm scared. I'm still a child. I'm scared to death. And I'm like going through every door. It's like these little 5x5 rooms, completely white. I'm opening one door. I end up in another room. It's a maze. I'm just open doors, open doors, open doors. I do this so many times in the dream until now I'm running because I'm trying to find her and I'm afraid and my anxiety is through the roof. I end up running out of that final door and I'm running off a cliff. Every year I'd have this same crazy
And you were
dream.
how old in the dream?
I was probably like 9, 10, somewhere around there. I run off the cliff and I am screaming and flailing straight down. I would always wake up before I hit the ground. Every time. And I have to ask Tanisha about this because I know I told my friends, like, I don't know spiritually. I was into, dreams and figuring out what they mean and all that. I'm like, I don't know what this means. Yada, yada, yada. Until I had this dream until I was 31 years old. And I told you I was 9 or 10 in the dream. I had the dream every year, once a year, until I was 31 years old. And I had the dream the last time at 31. This time, same thing, same dream, same everything, same aunt. I end up, instead of waking up before I hit the ground, I actually hit the ground. And then when I hit the ground, after running off the cliff, after I hit the ground, I bounced up and looked at myself and woke up. Never had the dream again.
So 31, is that when you...
That's exactly what I was about to say. 31, because my last attempt at suicide, I was 30 years old. I didn't do the work immediately. Around 31, in that 31 year, is when I started my process, when God gave me the tools on how to start and how to retrain my 31 was around that. It was that age where I really started the healing process. And it started with me telling God the truth. Me standing in the mirror, speaking my truth, speaking that I was angry, speaking that I felt alone, speaking that I thought God hated me, speaking that I thought there was something wrong with me, inherently cursed, all the things.
Yes.
It started with that. And that was the last
people don't
time
talk
I had
about
to
that. You do feel in your head, you like, I gotta be cursed.
There's something wrong with me.
Something is wrong with me. But the crazy part about it is when you said that you kept having that dream, I didn't keep having that dream, but when I started dreaming again at 19, I started dreaming about trains again.
About what?
About getting on trains again.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is happening? I thought I was losing it. Very interesting.
And that 31 years, it's literally been 20 years since I've had that dream, and I would have it every year.
Wow.
It's amazing to me that, we need more conversations like this.
Yes.
Because there are so many issues and layers of what happens to an individual when their safety is uprooted, especially as a child.
Yes.
And then not just in addition to the sexual abuse and sexual assault as a child.
Yes.
What happens after?
Right.
I can't see you anymore, girl. Your camera's
up.
But what happens?
That window, it was cold.
Okay, no worries. What happens after? What happens after makes all the difference.
Yes.
Is the child believed after? Are they actually going to get some kind of justice for the child? Is the person removed from the child's life? Does the child feel safety? Does the child view and witness an advocate?
Yes. And I'm going to say
this. An advocate.
No, I didn't either, but I was my own advocate.
Yeah, I became my own advocate.
And so the thing about it is, let me tell you something. When that child is advocated for and taken away from that environment, that literally changes the trajectory for that child. Right?
Absolutely.
It literally changes the trajectory because now, yes, I was in a bad place. Yes, I still got to deal with that, but I was taken out of that environment in order to be able to heal. And now, people don't understand how disadvantaged you feel in life because you have to go through a healing process while everybody else can just focus on this.
One of the things I say often, and I say it for other survivors, and I really want other survivors to hear this, we see you.
Yes.
We believe you. We are you.
Mm-hmm.
We understand. We get it. The concept that you didn't break you, it's unfair that you have to fix you. It's very unfair that you have to fix you. However, it is possible, brick by brick. It is possible. It is doable. Do you become perfect? No, but no one is, whether they've been abused or not. No, there are no perfect people.
No.
But you can be better. You can dream again. You can hope again. You can feel safe, seen, loved again. You can trust the right people again. Because everyone doesn't deserve your trust.
No, they don't.
But it is possible. It is doable. No, it's not fair. It's not right. All children, all people, all vulnerable people, all people should be protected and safe. And as you said, Ashley, you said something that stood out. You said feeling not vulnerable, disadvantaged, feeling disadvantaged.
You do have that moment where you.
But for me, it wasn't a feeling. It was a reality.
Well,
I was disadvantaged.
That too. That too.
And that's the part. Like I'm still at 50, almost 2. Still processing, still different levels. I'm nowhere near where I was. I'm so much better now. And also there's still different levels of things that I have to teach myself to believe about myself because I didn't have anyone a grandmother, a grandfather, an aunt, an uncle. Yeah, I had a good relationship or decent relationship with one of my aunts. She was the funny aunt. It was decent, but she had her own traumas and dysfunctions. And I never felt safe with anyone, ever, in my youth, ever. Not my mother, not my father.
I can't say that I didn't have anyone that I felt safe around. I'm going to say this. My mother's own embarrassment got the best of her, because if she would have told our community, it would have been over for him.
And that shouldn't be. And that's the point of the show. That should not be the case. No parent should have to express or expose one of the most horrific things to happen to their children, and then be faced with the fact that faced with the fact that I'm going to be the one exiled, or my child. That should be applauded. I think should be a hero.
Yeah, I think that was. I think, you know, does my mom have her faults? Yes. Have we gone through things? Yes. But I think it was the shame. I think it was the shame of this single. Now I'm gonna be single again, right? Yeah. I got my second marriage that did not work out. My child is telling me that she's been abused. She has seen me abuse. You know, all of the things. If I come out and say this, what does this look like? You know, I'm raising, now I got to raise 2 children by myself. You know, like, instead of there being a thing
rallying around.
And I'm not going to say this. This is what I am going to say. And I don't want to make it seem like it was just so easy, because my family, you talking about some opinionated folk. Nevertheless, they would have been opinionated, but some would have happened. Some would have shook. Okay. Whether she liked it or not, some would have shook.
I remember, and I have to tell this story, girl, we're over an hour, but I have to share this story quickly. When I was a teenager, I fought a lot. Physically fought a lot.
Oh, you ain't got to tell me, because
I had to. I was very petite and very proper and all the things. And I didn't know I was cute then, but as I look back, I was cute. I had no clue that I was cute, but I had to fight to prove myself, right? That I wasn't this weak little girl, whatever. Well, I fought this one girl who just didn't like me for no reason, which was generally the case. Tanisha can attest to this. She can. She was, believe me, one day I'll have her on. She's going to share some stories. You'll be like, what happened? Wait, what? But this one particular fight, this girl, I was so nice to this girl. I was so nice to her because she was slightly delayed. I don't know what her real issue was, but she was slightly, that's the best way that I can say it.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
But I was always nice to the little guy. I was always that person.
I was like, that person too. I had different types of friends. Yes.
If somebody is picking on someone, that's the person that I'm going to advocate for. I'm going to leave them alone. I'm going to befriend them. And I was always that way. She was kind of like that. For some reason, she stopped liking me, and she had a boyfriend or whatever. We got into a fight. And I'm like, why is she? Why? I don't even understand. Well, I ended up walking one day to the bus stop on my way to school, and I saw her coming, and this is after the fight. I saw her approaching, coming down the street, and she had her boyfriend with me, and her boyfriend, she came first, and she started swinging, so I'm fighting. Her boyfriend came and jumped at it. This boy beat me so bad, like he kicked me in my head. Just all types of things. I still to this day have the marks on my knuckles from how he stepped on my hands. With all his strength. Literally, next time I see you, I'm going to show you the marks on my face. And I was messed up. So I went back home. I ended up telling my mother what happened.
Don't tell me nothing else.
Wait. I ended up telling my mother what happened. I was 17. I was 17 at the time. My mother was like, well, do you want to press charges? It'll be hard because then I'm going to have to take off work. That's what I mean about leading children. You don't suggest. There is no way that as a mother, I'm not pressing charges. I tried to press charges. Listen, I did press charges against a kid who slapped Taylor when she was a little girl. I didn't care. I'm like, I took it all the way to court. I was like, she will see I am her advocate. Like, I don't play that. So anyway, bottom line is, my mother was like, I'm surprised you never heard that story. This was a little boy. I mean, he was probably, were they like 11, I think. I didn't care. You slapped my child to the point that when I get home, my child has your handprint on her face.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I know that's right.
I went to the woman's house with the police. God. I was about to grab her and lay hands.
And what did the parents say?
Oh, she was too busy getting high. When I went with the police to the woman's apartment. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. Sorry, y'all. Sorry.
Oh,
Ash, we're not on the phone, girl. We act like we're on the phone by ourselves. Anyway, going back to my story. So my mother's like, you don't want to press charges, do you? I'm going to have to take off work. I was like, no, I guess I don't. And I left it alone. My father, who is at the same time, during the same time frame, molesting, raping me, he and my uncle told him what happened. The same uncle that molested me. Because none of these people were removed from my life, even after they did things to me. But my uncle told my father about what happened. My father, being the maniac that he was, he and my uncle went to the boy's house. I never saw the boy again. And the boy lived a block away from me. Never saw him again. I don't know what they did to him. My uncle merely told me, your father took care of it. When I talk about being an advocate, you have that situation and my mother.
That is such a confusing situation for a child. Oh my God. So you don't protect me, but you protect.
So wait, you're the only one who can choke me and beat me? You're the only one. Somebody else can't, though.
That is mind-boggling.
So he showed up. He was my advocate.
That is cray. Oh my God.
The girl, and I don't know if they told her or whatever. I don't know who, because I never had another issue out of them. But the girl ended up coming and apologizing to me. And I'm like, I don't understand any of this. I am 17. So I shared that story because of the confusing messages that are.
Yes, that parents. Yes.
I needed an advocate who would advocate for my safety and protect me and create measures and systems to keep me safe. When you keep your children safe, when you safeguard the future of other children, when you are an advocate, whether you have children or you're the advocate for others, when you do that, you are creating safety measures and safeguarding their future potential, their future dreams, aspirations, hopes and goals, their future life, essence.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that you are preventing from coming in and uprooting this child's identity.
That's right.
Because sexual abuse and assault is the thief of identity.
It is. Ask me how I know.
Ask me how I know.
All right.
So we've had story time. We've had serious time. We've had some tips and tricks. We've had statistics. Statistically, let me read. Well, no, I won't do that. We'll do that next time. Okay. But what is it? 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. I think those are the stats now. Some of the stats you see, it'll say 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6. But it's about that. How is that possible? In your classroom, Ash, think about your classroom.
I was just talking to you, like, my kids, they found me on the internet. They didn't ask more questions, but I'm like, Lord, if they ask me some more questions, like, what is your book about, Miss Wicks? Like, why are you on the internet? Like, you're like signed up to be a speaker. Like, what's going on? I'm like, what am I going to tell these children?
Go with God, girl. Let God tell you. But thinking about those statistics and thinking about your classroom, if you count 1 in every 6 boys and 1 in every 4 girls.
Yes.
Like, make it palatable. I want people to see how erroneous this thing is, how much of an epidemic it is, how pervasive it is. This is not something we can be silent about.
Exactly.
In your silence, you are creating an avenue for more victims.
Yes.
You are creating permission for more victims. So speak up. That's the name of this episode. Speak up, exposing the effects of sexual assault. Speak up, even if you have to speak alone.
I'm sorry, Jay said.
Yes, Jay, speak up. So, thank you all. We ran over.
Yes, we did. Thank you for tuning in. It was so great to be here. We will be back next week at the same time, 7 p.m. On Friday. You can follow me on Instagram at I am as Chanel. You can follow me on TikTok as Chanel. You can also follow me on Facebook and YouTube at Notes with Ash. And you can follow the auntie at Out of My Shell, the voice on YouTube and Instagram, and Coach Michelle Jackson on Facebook. You can also purchase the surgery on Amazon. You can purchase When She Flipped on Amazon, I believe. And also, we will be a part of the Black Sexual Assault Awareness Panel on April 21st, 2024. This is the first one, right?
Yes,
is this the first one? This is the first one. There are going to be
Heal on Purpose.
For Heal on Purpose. It will be us and also some very dynamic women and men that are a part of advocating for the community, and know that this experience is for us, right? For our lived experience, and shattering the shame in our communities, in our families, and within ourselves.
Can you see the flyer here?
And that wonderful lady is Dr. Linda, and she is the founder of Hillum.
Yes, so you can see the flyer. Good.
Yes,
that's September 21st. So please, 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 we're both.
Did you say September?
Girl, I did. I'm sorry. April.
Girl, coming September is over.
Sorry, guys.
Don't do that.
April 21st, which is a Sunday, right?
Yes.
It's a Sunday. Register. We are sharing the flyers on our pages.
Please register. Please register. Because we don't want to be talking to our face.
Absolutely.
We want to talk to you.
We'd love
to see
talk
you. To us.
We would love to see you and hug you around your neck.
Exactly.
Old people say.
Exactly. But as you can see, you will get a wealth of information, hear a wealth of stories. We get to hear your stories. We get to listen to your questions, answer those questions, have an open discussion. We can't wait.
Yes. And you're hearing the perspective from men and women, male and female.
Yes.
Which is really good.
So
thank you. Thank y'all. We'll see you next Friday. Ash, you were amazing. I'll see y'all.
Bye. You were amazing. Bye.